quote here from a pretty prominent economist, and they say that Labour need to provide an alternative to aggressive policies being prioritised by the Conservative. The banks and those earning more than £100,000 could quite easily contribute a little more, and unless they do, inequality and poverty will inevitably soar in the months and years ahead. Do you agree with that statement?
The way that I believe that you can reduce inequality, reduce poverty, and actually also improve the living standards of ordinary working people, not in poverty, but struggling to get by, is through growing the economy.
You know the economist that she quoted? That was actually you.
Well, look, I mean...
A plan is making waves, and it's not one anyone expected. The government is backing a proposal to impose inheritance tax on death-in-service payments for military personnel, a move that will hit grieving families hard starting in April 2027.
I want to reduce poverty and inequality. I didn't go into politics, but how do you do that? What are the practical things that we can do?
Well, your suggestion in that quote was to tax the banks more and those earning more than £100,000 more, but you've gone back on that.
Well, look, the way that I think that we can lift people out of poverty and reduce inequality, as I say, is to get the economy growing.
For those who don't know, these payments are meant to support families who've already paid the ultimate price for the UK. But now, if those payments aren't passed to a spouse or civil partner, they could face a hefty tax bill. Think about that for a second. Grieving families already dealing with the loss of a loved one might soon be handed a tax invoice. The reaction has been swift and furious, and honestly, can you blame anyone for being upset? This is more than just numbers on a spreadsheet. This is about respect. It's about standing by the very people who have risked everything for this country.
First, Rachel Reeves fucked over pensioners by taking away their winter fuel allowance. Then she fucked over farmers by making them pay inheritance tax. And now she's fucking over military personnel that have given their lives for this country. This is an absolute disgrace. From April 2027, children and unmarried partners of military personnel will have to pay inheritance tax on any death-in-service lump sums that they receive.
Callers on radio shows have been relentless, calling the proposal everything from a disgrace to a betrayal. Some have even called it outright disrespectful to the military and their families. And it's not hard to see why. These aren't just statistics. These are real people. Parents, spouses, children, left to pick up the pieces of their lives after a tragedy. Now, on top of the grief, they might be hit with a financial penalty. It's cold, it's wrong, and people are asking, where's the empathy? Where's the gratitude? The backlash is undeniable, and it's clear this proposal has struck a nerve.
You're not going to tax wealth. You're not going to do much with income tax. You're leaving the profits of the banks, the water and the energy untouched. I remember very well, because I was born in that period, the Attlee government. And what they came in with was a four-letter word, hope. You aren't communicating hope. There is no ambition in evidence in what you're doing. And they had a much harder job than you've got to rebuild the country after the Second World War. COVID is bad. 2008 was terrible. But austerity has to be stopped. And you seem to be wanting to carry on worshipping the Treasury because you are an ex-banker, Bank of England banker.
It's no longer just about fairness. It's about the values we claim to uphold. And judging by the public outcry, many people feel this policy doesn't reflect those values. So, where does this leave Rachel Reeves and the Labour Party? That conversation is far from over. As the outrage grows louder, Keir Starmer has made his stance clear. He's standing firmly behind Rachel Reeves, despite the controversy. The Prime Minister has publicly endorsed the Chancellor, doubling down on the decision to push forward with these tax changes. For many, this endorsement feels like a gamble. Why tie yourself so closely to such an unpopular policy, especially when the backlash is still unfolding?
Well, the question is, why are you employing Tory policies to deal with a Tory crisis?
Well, look, the way that I think that we can lift people out of poverty and reduce inequality, as I say, is to get the economy growing. And that has been the missing ingredient these last 13 years. We've said that we would get rid of the non-dom tax status. I haven't heard Rishi Sunak calling for that. I wonder why. We've said that there would be VAT on private school fees, and we would put that money where it belongs, in our state schools. We've said that private equity bosses, their income should be taxed as income and not capital gains, and we've put that money into our public services. And we've said that we would have a proper windfall tax on the huge profits that the energy companies are making.
But Starmer's support has come with its own set of challenges. In recent press conferences, journalists didn't hold back, questioning how this policy aligns with the Labour Party's supposed values of fairness and support for those who serve the nation. They asked, does this decision honour the sacrifices made by military families? What message does this send to those considering military service? Starmer's answers have been direct, but critics have pointed out that they seem shaky at best. Some say he stumbled over key points when pressed on whether Rachel Reeves' position in the cabinet is secure. His refusal to entertain questions about her future only added fuel to the fire, leaving people to wonder if Starmer truly believes in this policy, or if he's just backing Reeves for political reasons.
And help with the cost of living crisis.
Said
none of the Tories wouldn't do any of those
You're not going
things.
to increase income tax for the so-called rich. You're not going to increase capital gains tax. You're not going to increase inheritance tax. You're not going to introduce a wealth tax, even though Michael Gove is now speculating about that. I mean, you're more right-wing than Michael Gove.
Oh, give me strength.
These interactions haven't exactly projected the kind of strength and decisiveness Starmer likely hopes for. Instead, they've sparked more questions about the Labour Party's ability to handle the growing discontent. As public demands for clarity and accountability intensify, one thing is clear. Both Reeves and Starmer are under immense pressure to defend their decisions, and right now, the court of public opinion isn't feeling merciful. Rachel Reeves's military tax proposal is only the latest in a series of controversial moves. Her previous tax changes hit the agricultural sector hard, with farmers, who are the backbone of the UK's economy, feeling the pinch. From higher costs on essential resources to reduced support for their livelihoods, critics argue that her policies have pushed many farmers to the brink. Now, the focus is on the military. Taxing death-in-service payments, which are meant to provide a financial lifeline to grieving families, has shocked the public. Many are asking, why target those who've already sacrificed so much?
Fundamental reason why we're seeing all this turmoil on the markets, pressure on the pound, huge increases in the cost of UK government borrowing, with all the bad effects that has for every family in the country, is that global markets have lost trust, lost confidence in Rachel Reeves and her economic policies. And when that happens, a Chancellor of the Exchequer has no way out. It's time for Rachel from accounts to go to human resources and get her P45.
Turning these payments into taxable income feels heartless to many, and there's an increasing sense of inconsistency. While Reeves seems eager to burden hard-working citizens with more taxes, there's little accountability when it comes to issues like illegal immigration. Families entering the UK illegally are often eligible for benefits, housing and support without paying into the system. Meanwhile, citizens who contribute through farming or military service are facing new taxes. It's a stark contrast that hasn't gone unnoticed. Frustration is building. People are asking why the government is targeting essential sectors that sustain the UK. Why penalise those who serve and protect the country?
It's a petty grab with no excuse. There's no excusable reason for any of this. I'm incensed by it. I think it's appalling.
And Simon Weston, a lot of people that get into the forces, they don't do it for the pay. It's very poorly paid compared to other public services. Hey, we live in a country where train drivers get more than people who risk their life on a battlefield, people like yourself. I digress, but...
These questions are growing louder, but so far the answers are falling short. If Rachel Reeves thought this proposal would fly under the radar, she couldn't have been more wrong. The backlash is only gaining steam, and it's putting her public image in serious jeopardy. Her reputation has already taken hits for what many see as an inconsistent and chaotic approach to economic policy. Under her leadership, major companies have announced job cuts, and many are blaming her decisions for the ripple effects that are being felt across the economy. Now, the proposed military tax has only added fuel to the fire. This isn't just a bad policy, It's viewed by many as a direct attack on vulnerable families who have already paid the ultimate price.
And you know, something to lift the spirits and something to give the soldiers' families a look forward, because they haven't got a husband or a wife to support them anymore. They need this money more than anything, you know, and the pain they are going through is immense. You know, Starmer and Rachel Reeves, they have no compassion in this country, no compassion to our population.
Taxing grieving military families sends a message that feels cold, disconnected, and deeply unfair. For Rachel Reeves, this could be a turning point. Some analysts are predicting her popularity could plummet, and with local elections looming, the Labour Party may face serious consequences. The perception that they're out of touch with the people could damage their standing for years to come. Reeves seems to be skating on thin ice, and whether she can recover is still unclear. The frustration among the British public is palpable. This isn't just about one policy. It's about a pattern of decisions that seem out of touch with the realities of everyday life.
Will the thresholds remain frozen for 3 years, as the government has already announced?
Well, I would like for taxes on working people to come down, but I'm not going to play fast and loose with the public finances. When a government does that, you get a repeat of what Liz Truss does, and frankly, it's what Rishi Sunak offered in the Conservative manifesto this week, a whole bunch of unfunded, uncosted policies that, if the Conservatives have a chance to enact, will crash our economy in the same way that Liz Truss did.
From taxes on those who serve the country to policies that leave critical sectors like farming struggling, people are questioning whether their leaders truly understand their values and priorities. The military tax proposal has pushed many to the edge. For families who've already sacrificed so much, the idea of being hit with a tax bill feels wrong on every level. The outcry is not just loud, it's personal. People are demanding change. They want a government that values fairness and respect for those who serve the nation. They want leadership that aligns with the basic principles of decency and gratitude. Calls for the government to rethink the proposal are growing louder. Advocates, commentators, and even some politicians are urging the leadership to reconsider the tax changes, with increasing pressure to protect, not penalise, military families. The message from the public is clear. These policies need to reflect the sacrifices made by those who defend the country, and the hard work of those who sustain it. The big question now is the leadership listening? Will these calls for change lead to meaningful action? Or will the government continue down this path, ignoring the voices of the people? If this frustration continues to build, it could have serious consequences for trust in the current leadership and for the stability of the entire government. If you found this video insightful, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more. You can catch all our latest updates and discussions right here.